it's a huge pleasure to welcome you to Modern Art Oxford this evening for the conversation with Nick Cullinan and Jenny Saville. It really is a landmark moment, not just for the museum itself, but also for Jenny. And we were just having a conversation in terms of the presentation of the exhibition here, genuinely being the first museum show to bring together such an incredible body of work. And we were just actually in this gallery, a few months back when we had the Graham Sutherland exhibition on these very walls, the quite tremendous work that he did during the war period, and which we started to call the British Room almost, as it was our kind of war cabinet. And Jenny's kind of given a tag to this suite of paintings as the British Room as well, so there's something developing there which maybe John Piper himself might have something to say about, but regardless, I think there is a conversation there about the historic and the contemporary, which is certainly played out in this exhibition, and one which I know both Jenny and Nick certainly don't shy away from in terms of their work and their interests. I'd like to introduce Nick Cullinan, who is curator of international and modern art at Tate Modern. And I say that because there's also a shared interest there in the quite tremendous Cy Twombly exhibition in Poussin that Nick did at Dulwich just last year.
It seems longer.
That seems longer ago. And I know there's certainly shared interest there about how to re-engage and connect that sense of the historic with today and the now. I know Nick's also fresh from opening the Monk show, that's at Tate Modern just this week, which probably seems long ago as well. But I'll hand over to Nick, and thank you again for coming this evening. Thank you.
So, I think the exhibition is extraordinary. I'm really thrilled to see it. And I spent a couple of hours walking around this afternoon, and what I wanted to do was, usually when you have these conversations with an artist, you begin at the beginning and you ask the artist about their formative influences, their early career, and I wanted to actually flip that around. So I actually want to begin downstairs with the newest works, and then gradually live up through the room in the middle, and then into this room. So we'll end here. So we're going to move back and into this space. So the first question is, I actually want to ask about the very latest work, which I've only just seen, which is the extraordinary mirror work.
Okay.
Well, do you want to first say a bit about that?
Well, there's two that I've just finished. One's Study for Intertwine, which is the one on a grey panel, and the other one is Mirror, which is, it was, I did all winter I spent on Mirror, on and off, which was an attempt at doing a sort of history of the reclining nude drawing. A few years ago I started to directly reference art history in the work, and that resulted from another group of drawings I'd done called reproduction drawings, based on pregnancy and the idea of maternity. And so those drawings, the drawing as an entity in itself, became something I was interested in, and that's sort of taking it to an extreme level, if you like, of how much I could put into this drawing where the history of the nude reflected itself and reflected the cultures. So I think the nude stands as this great canon of Western art, and it sort of reflects the culture of the time that each nude is made. And as someone who makes paintings of the nude, it's a very difficult language to manipulate, because you read every nude with all the other nudes that have gone on, and all the ones you've made, and all the ones that exist in art history. So instead of trying to make a new one, I just brought them all in. So it was like, it was working with Picasso, with Manet, and since having children, I've just found a much freer license to do whatever I like, and a confidence, and that's just started to enter the work, and it hasn't stopped. So
I think it's such a brilliant beginning to the exhibition because it's such a surprise. I mean, even for me, I knew about the other works, I'd seen them before, but to see the latest works. And so when you enter the exhibition, you might expect to see these works, which we all know very well, and to really spring the surprise of these works which no one's seen before, which are completely different to the works that you've done, I think is extraordinary. I want to just go back and ask, this change, this schism between, well, there seems to be two factors, one of which, of course, is becoming a mother, and I don't want to get into biography too much,
Yeah.
but the other is the art history entry into the work. Do those go hand in hand, or what happens?
Well, art history is always there,
Yeah.
but I never wanted to directly reference art history out of fear of being looking like a postmodernist, which is, that sort of self-referential, somewhat of a vacuum is just something I haven't been interested in. And now that's died down, I think I can do that. And I don't want to do it in a conceptual way. It was a way of trying to create a memory, if you like. Because when I'm working, I mean, I don't have a very scholarly view of art history. I'm much more of a scavenger. I take bits of this, bits of that. And so you're constantly stealing anyway. But I'd steal the sort of like side edge of a soutine nude and put it along the bottom side of a pig. But that was my way of stealing. But this was a much more conscious, if you like. Conscious is the wrong word. That literally the images would just be everywhere in my studio, and I'd pick bits and bobs. And in a very trance-like, sounds too hippie-ish, but it's much more like it's sort of frenzy. Like when I'm really working at night and the images are flowing, I just feel like I can go anywhere. And that repository of memory is also one as a sort of tablet of build-up of imagery. In a way that memory works in a fluid sense. You don't have a sort of linear memory where you have if you ask somebody about a book or a film, they don't tell you the whole thing, they just know snippets. And so I wanted to try and create an image that had that sensation.
It's elliptical.
Yeah, exactly, and revolves around itself, and so that's why I called it mirror, that it had this sort of reflective sense too.
And these palimpsests, and of course that relies on the new, not the new technique, but the new, I would say, style of the vernacular, which is line rather than,
Well, line and tone. I mean, it's. I didn't see it as a big separation between suddenly using line and using tone, but there is something between paint being opaque, or the way I use it anyway, it tends to be opaque. And I think I wanted to try and create what I see as a sort of simultaneous reality, where within the drawings, anyway, I think I've been able to do it, where you slip from one set of realities to the next without consciously knowing it. So in the same way Degas, lots of artists have done it in the past, and lots of artists have even wanted to do it, if you go back through art history. This way of being able to perceive many things at the same time. So you have a body with feet, for example, bits of legs and arms, and then you have another set of bodies and another one, and new forms emerge. So, and that came out of being